If you're an INFJ, you might have this weird internal battle going on inside of you. You might be struggling with wanting one thing, but then feeling the complete opposite to what you're wanting. Today, we are going to be talking all about what this internal battle is and how you can overcome this so that you can truly step into what your calling and purpose is. So, what am I talking about? I'm talking about the INFJ, which is a Myers-Briggs personality type. I had someone comment saying, "You never tell me what an INFJ is," so sorry, Myers-Briggs. What I'm talking about is the INFJ having this internal longing to be seen and their voice heard, but absolutely panicking when the opportunity arises. Now, this video was inspired by you, by my amazing YouTube commenters, and you know who you are, you're my absolute favorites. And in this comment, the person wrote, because many of us, definitely me, have this unfortunate internal tug-of-war that we struggle with of feeling invisible and wanting to be seen and heard. But when we have an opportunity to be seen and heard, we panic because being in the proverbial spotlight is terrifying. If they can't see you, they can't hurt you. This internal battle seriously sucks. If you would like to chat about how the benefits of stepping into that proverbial spotlight far outweigh the perceived negatives, I would be so grateful. Please give Miss Connie a squeeze for me, her #1 fan. Luckily for you, I have quite a lot of experience of having this struggle, this battle, this tug of war, and I feel like I have mostly overcome this. So I'm excited to share with you, and I'm going to share with you why this happens, but more importantly, what to do about it. So make sure you stick around to the end. Okay, let's get into it. Hi everybody, I'm Sam and I'm an online counsellor for INFJs, for introverts, empaths, neurodivergent people, the underdog, you name it. I'm there for you. And in this YouTube channel, we talk about all of those things, plus therapy reactions, all the good stuff. So if that sounds like something you would enjoy watching, then please subscribe to my channel. INFJs, we observe so much. And we think so deeply that at times it feels like we have this profound wisdom that we want to share. And at times it feels like we need to share this. We need to get it off our chest. We need to tell the world the things that we're thinking about, that we're feeling, and that we observe. Because we see the world so differently. We're able to see different points of views and understand where everyone is coming from. When I was younger, in my teen years, I felt like I had all of these internal thoughts and feelings that were wiser beyond my years. But as a person, I never felt like I was ever taken seriously. My exterior, the way I presented myself and the way my personality came across was very silly, was very fun. And because of this, nobody ever really cared to see what was in my heart and the thoughts that I had. And when I went to share them, they just weren't taken seriously enough. In the end, I ended up bottling up a lot of these thoughts and feelings. As much as I wanted to share them, I would bottle them up because it felt like I didn't have an audience to actually share everything that I was learning, everything that I was thinking about, and the observations on the world that I was seeing. I felt like I went through a period of rejection, and I really feared that rejection and abandonment from my peers. We can stop ourselves from being in the spotlight from this fear of rejection and abandonment. It's a wound that many of us need to heal from. It's a wound that can seriously hold us back and cause a blockage. Now, my fear of rejection and abandonment didn't necessarily come from friendships, but because I had this wound, it certainly put me in a place where I feared being rejected by friends. When we do find the courage though to share, and to finally get all of these thoughts out and the feelings in our heart and share it with people, so often we can be shut down or we can be interrupted. I've mentioned before how INFJs, we have such intricate thinking and feelings, but when we try to verbalize them, it comes up all jumbled up. It comes up incoherent. It doesn't make sense, and people don't understand how we get to certain conclusions. It's really hard for us to get our words out. especially when we are put on the spot. And so when we are finally given the opportunity to voice our thoughts and feelings, but we haven't had the chance to prepare for what we're going to say, we end up not actually being able to express what it is that we're really trying to say, and we end up looking really silly. And when that happens, it causes us to just shut down even more and to not speak up and to not share our thoughts and feelings in the future. Some INFJs do actually prefer not being in the spotlight. They would rather be in the background and being a support for other people and being the cheerleader. But I wonder, when I read comments like that and read posts about, I don't want to be seen, I want to be invisible, I wonder, is that because INFJs struggle with sharing their vulnerabilities? Because when you are in the spotlight, everyone can see you, and so it can feel like your vulnerabilities are being showcased, and that can be quite scary for the INFJ. Which is one of the reasons why I love providing therapy for INFJs, because they do often struggle to actually share their pain and their struggles and to be vulnerable. And so I see it as a real honor to hold space for people as they do share their stories. INFJs can also come across as very private people. They're not wanting to necessarily display their whole life for others. But I'm wondering, is it because of the way social media is painted and the way social media is in the world that makes it look like we have to share everything, that causes the INFJ to shy away from being in the spotlight in that social media way? And I'm asking these questions to challenge you about the reasons why you might not want to be in the spotlight. Is it because of these thoughts that aren't necessarily based on fact? Because I know for me, as someone who is on social media, I used to have that thinking that I would have to share everything about myself. But over the years, I've learnt about the necessity for healthy boundaries and my privacy and knowing what I'm okay with sharing with you and what I should keep for myself. I think when you as an INFJ feel like you have a mission, a purpose, or a cause that you're passionate about, the desire to be in the spotlight is stronger. And it's not so much about you as an individual wanting to be in the spotlight, but it's more about you being driven to having your message being heard and seen by others. And for that message to be heard and seen, it requires you to be in the spotlight. And so I think when you do have that mission and that purpose, you're more likely to have this craving to be in the spotlight for people to see you. Now, I shared that what can prevent us from being in the spotlight, for stepping out and for allowing people to hear and see your message, is the fear of rejection and people not actually taking us seriously. Or when they do, they interrupt and they don't allow us to get our thoughts out coherently before the conversation changes topic. Do you know what I mean by that? I feel like in situations when I finally share my ideas or my thoughts and you start sharing, then someone else jumps in and overtakes that conversation, and then you're left thinking, no one's listening again. And I feel like that is very much an INFJ experience. Please let me know in the comments if that is your experience as an INFJ. I want to address both of these and how you can overcome this. Let's start with the issue of rejection. Being afraid of what people will think and being rejected by others. Now, I've been in this content creation phase of my life for like many years. And at the very beginning, I was so afraid of what people would think. I was afraid of what my friends and family would say or do, or I was just very afraid to put myself out there in the fear that they would see it and then reject me. But you're not going to be able to overcome that or heal from that until you actually find the courage from within and take the steps and start putting yourself out there in that way and start making steps towards being in the spotlight. So rejection and abandonment, that is something that you can heal from, but it is something that may take time. You could use things like therapy with parts work therapy. And so if you think of yourself of all different parts, there's probably a part of you that is that rejection, that part that's fear of rejection and abandonment. And you can ask this rejection part, what are you trying to help me with? Try and look at this part through the lens of love and compassion, because this rejection part really is trying to help you with something. It's most likely trying to protect you from feeling terrible. It's trying to protect you from being isolated and not having community around you. But some of these thoughts and fears are just like blown out of proportion. And you can ask this rejection part, how old are you? What's your age? When did this rejection part form? What happened during that time period of your life for this rejection part to come in? What do you need to move on from and forgive and release to let this rejection part go? As you nurture this rejection part, allow them space to be heard and seen. Eventually, you can get to a place where you don't care anymore what people are going to think about you. You just don't care what their thoughts and opinions are. But sometimes you need to take these first steps to being seen, even before this is healed. It's a process. It will take time, and it is human nature. This is something that many people, not just INFJs, struggle with, is that fear of rejection and abandonment. And even now, when I put myself out here on YouTube or in front of a crowd, sometimes that fear of rejection can begin kicking in. But because I've gotten to know this part, I can reassure this part that we're okay. Everything is okay. We are safe. We are strong, and we are confident. Later, I'm going to be sharing with you what the benefits are for stepping into the spotlight instead of hiding away in the dark. But first, I want to talk about, how do we get our message out there? How do we be seen and heard in a way that feels good for the INFJ, in a way that allows us to actually be seen and heard? We aren't necessarily great at being on the spot. With the way that our brain and our thought processing works, it can be a struggle for us to share our thoughts and feelings and to be heard and seen in that conversational group setting way. We can get good at it. It's a skill that you can work on. But instead of focusing on that, I do want to share with you 3 ways that I have found to help me to have my message seen and heard, to be in the spotlight that feels comfortable and safe for me. And hopefully these ideas can help you too. They might sound a little bit scary, but INFJ, you are a courageous person, and I believe that you can find your courage to do this too. Okay, the first way is through writing. We are able to clearly communicate what we want to say when no one can interrupt us. And that's the beauty of writing. We can write out our thoughts and feelings. We can write it in a beautiful way where we can clearly get our message across. And nobody can actually stop us mid-thought, stop us mid-sentence. If people don't want to keep reading what we've written, that's fine. But at least it's out there. And the more you write, the better you get at it. When you write, you're able to then edit what you're saying. You can sort out all of your thoughts and feelings in that way. And you can put your writing and your thoughts and feelings out through blogs and email newsletters, which, by the way, I have just started doing this on a weekly basis. So if you want to receive my, I don't know what to call it yet, my love letters, my weekly love letters, then please sign up for them. You can share your writing through social media posts, through articles on news websites. There's lots of ways that you can get your message across where you can be heard and seen. And honestly, writing is probably the safest way for you at this stage, because you're not having to put yourself out there like this, where people can see you and hear you. And that's how I first started, was by writing. I never showed my face. I had a faceless Instagram account for a good couple of years. I had a faceless blog before that. And it was great practice for me to share what was going on here. And people took me seriously because they didn't see the rest of my personality at that point. The second way is through video, like this, like what we're doing right now. And I know this is a little bit scarier than writing. I get it. It took me years to get to this point. And you'll probably suck at it the first time you do it too. Just check out my old videos. You'll see how robotic and unnatural I sounded. But it was through the weekly practice of hanging out with you that I've gotten better at this. The good thing about doing it by video to be seen and heard is that you can pre-prepare. a script and you can plan out what you're gonna say. And then once you've filmed it, then you can edit out anything that you don't like, anything that where you bumbled over your words, where you stuttered, where you said too many times. So you can edit that out. Through video, you can plan and organize how you're going to communicate your thoughts and feelings. Now, let me remind you that during this process, if you do start filming and using video to be in the spotlight, that rejection part is probably still going to rear its head. It's unavoidable because we're humans. But that's when you reassure it. That's when you nurture this rejection part. That's when you let it know that it's okay, you're safe, and give it love and compassion. Don't push it away and just know that all it's trying to do is to protect you. Now, the third way, which is my favorite way, perhaps the scariest, and I know I'm in the minority of it being the favorite way, is through public speaking. Now, I love public speaking because this is one of the most powerful and effective ways to get your message across, to be seen and heard, to be in the spotlight when no one can interrupt you. It's incredibly rude for someone in the audience when you're on stage, when you're sharing your message, for someone in the audience to interrupt you while you're mid-sentence. And I feel like it's that interruption of mid-sentence for INFJs that can really cause us to spiral and to forget what we're saying. When you're on stage, publicly speaking, you are literally in the spotlight. Literally. All eyes and ears are on you. They are listening to your message intently. They are giving you all of it, everything that audience has to you to hear what you're saying, to hear your message, to be seen and heard. Now, if your heart is thumping louder and faster at this point while I'm talking about public speaking, know that you're not alone. This happens to majority of people. In fact, it's probably one of the biggest fears that some of the most confident people have is public speaking. But I truly believe that INFJs can be powerful communicators. I believe that INFJs can be powerful public speakers. And personally, I enjoy the thrill of it. The fear of it is actually fun for me. I love the adrenaline rush that it brings, and I love that I can actually say what I gotta say without anyone telling me to stop. Now, my journey with public speaking is, in high school, I used to love doing the public speaking competitions and debating. I loved it. And then in my 20s, I had this terrible mentor tell me, I don't want to go into it, but basically some stuff happened where I lost all of my confidence and that rejection really came in, and I stopped public speaking and I felt like I could never do it again. My cat keeps shaking the camera. But eventually I decided I needed to get over my fear. I needed to find my confidence again, to do what I'm doing, to share the message that I have for you, to be an encourager and an inspiration for you. And so what I did was I joined a Toastmasters club, and I did a video about my first time going to Toastmasters, which is a public speaking club. And I've ended up becoming a vice president of my local club. And in a month, I'm actually in a public speaking competition, which I'm really excited about. But in a place like Toastmasters, or if you look at other resources like on YouTube, or I'm sure there's courses you can buy, I'm not sure. But you can learn how to write a powerful speech. You can learn how to be a powerful communicator through the words that you say, but not just through the words you say, but how you say it, and having a strong presence on stage so that people can absorb what you're saying, so that they can hear your message, so that they can hear what you're passionate about and what you're trying to get across to them. The reason why I personally love Toastmasters is because it's affordable. It barely costs a thing, and you get to learn and practice your public speaking skills every couple of weeks. And with public speaking, what's important is that you practice, practice, practice. And I promise you, it's the most thrilling and exciting way to be in the spotlight and to be seen and heard. And most of the people that I have met that join Toastmasters join because they are afraid of being in the spotlight and they don't know how to communicate, but it's a very supportive environment for people to be in when they're learning public speaking. And once you have overcome this fear of rejection and abandonment and learn how to be an effective communicator, the positive benefits of being in the spotlight far outweigh the negatives. Firstly, you become more confident and sure of yourself. And the more you do it, the more you really do stop caring what other people are going to think about you and how they may or may not be judging you. And you don't even care if they are judging you. You can actually then get your message out. All of the stuff that's inside of you that is meaningful to you, that is important for you to share, you can then actually share it. And to me, that far outweighs the negatives of, people not liking you, because I think there's nothing worse than having a message to share and you keeping it to yourself. You can make a difference. You can shine your light. It feels really good to be doing this because it's what you're meant to be doing. INFJ, you've been given these unique gifts for a reason. And when you use your gifts, such as the intuition, the empathy, the feelings, all of that, it feels good. It feels good to be walking in your purpose. It feels good to be walking and doing things because of a cause that you're passionate about. And it helps to make a difference in the world. You, INFJ, can be a history maker. You've got this, INFJ, and I fully believe in you. And I believe that if INFJs can just overcome all of these blocks that they have and these wounds, that the INFJ really can shift things in the world and make this difference that we need right now. This world is like, this world. But you have something beautiful in your heart to offer, but sometimes that means you're just going to have to get over yourselves and choose to be seen and heard.